This gas platform is located above the reef where we've always fished. The place is called Shatara and is a restricted area for fishermen. If we stay here any longer, it's only a matter of time before the Senegalese Coast Guard chases us away.
Africa has gas. The continent's gas reserves are almost as large as America's. Europe needs gas.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine marked a turning point. We learned not to become too dependent on a single supplier.
Africa's gas could not only secure supplies for Europe, but also improve the lives of people in Africa. But are locals once again not benefiting from revenue generated by their own resources? Hizadine Acha is a TV journalist. The discovery of gas deposits in Mozambique has shaped his entire career.
At first, I thought it was just another discovery of natural resources. Cabo Delgado is full of gold, marble, and rubies. When the gas was discovered, I didn't think much of it. It was only when I realized the scale of change it unleashed that I became aware of it.
Hizadine is the only journalist who has been reporting from the northern province of Cabo Delgado for decades. It's considered the poorhouse of Mozambique.
I've been here a long time, and I'm very well known. Sometimes people want to take a photo with me, or come up to me in the street, shake my hand, and say they like my reports. I see myself as an impartial journalist. I'm neither in favor of the government nor the people. I'm on the side of truth and justice.
The famous journalist lives in a building site with his wife and 4 children. He writes and edits all of his reports on this wobbly table.
Working in Mozambique is hard. Wages are low and working conditions are often difficult. Money is always tight. But we have a family culture in which we help each other when someone is ill or has a problem. We share what little we have. That's how we live.
Hizadine Acha lives in Pemba, the capital of Cabo Delgado province. Mozambique lies on the east coast of southern Africa. Its gas deposits, among the largest on the continent, were discovered in 2012, changing Pemba forever.
Pemba was a very quiet and easy-going town. Most of the foreigners who came here were tourists. They didn't stay long in Pemba, but traveled on to the surrounding islands.
Shortly after the discovery, gas consortia signed contracts with the Mozambican government to exploit the gas fields. They began conducting seismic surveys and logistical preparations in the Indian Ocean. They dispatched engineers and specialists from all over the world. The fishing harbor of Pemba turned into a transport hub where research vessels were furnished with all the supplies the engineers might need. Back then, gas company representatives still spoke to the media, like John Peffer, then CEO of the American company Anadarko.
When we first came down here and looked at Pemba as a location for, at that time, our seismic operations and to open an office, these were all, let's say, distressed buildings. They hadn't had any upgrades in many, many years. We did our building. The port then did theirs. CFM did theirs, and others. So the port area, the offices have been developed tremendously.
Yes, it was a boom. It was like a bomb went off. Many people weren't prepared for it at all, especially not for the sudden arrival of so many foreigners. Many people got jobs. They earned money. Others started to invest. Those who didn't own land bought land. Those who didn't have a business wanted to open one. Those who knew something about business and had a vision realized that this was the ideal time to make a profit. This dynamic, which had never existed before, was linked to the expectation that we now had a Mozambican El Dorado.
But, of course, not everyone benefited from the boom. Most of the investors came from South Africa or from abroad. They bought up entire beaches to build luxury flats there. Their SUVs became a symbol of sudden wealth. Gary Wilson from South Africa is one of these entrepreneurs. He opened a restaurant and a grocery shop which imports meat from South Africa.
Unbelievable if I hear the projections of what some of the people who've been in the industry for 30 years tell me, listen, in 5 years' time you're not going to recognize Pemba. It's going to have skyscrapers, 24-hour service stations, 24-hour supermarkets. So at this stage, I think we haven't had an experience of this kind of growth. So we're only hearing the talk and the hype.
Many people announced the quantities of gas. I don't know how many millions of tons. And that companies would invest countless millions of dollars. And that this was really an opportunity to get out of oblivion. That this was a huge opportunity for us and for the province of Cabo Delgado.
As Gary Wilson's food distribution business picked up speed, others wanted to open businesses of their own.
We have piles and piles of business cards of people who want information on Pemba. How can they open a business? Where can they get started? Can we give them contacts? And we do help people as long as it's not contradictory to what we're doing. We help people to try and get established because Pemba needs to grow and it needs different services.
2013 was a year of hope. Everyone's wildest dreams seemed to be coming true. One of the newly built hotels, the Pemba Express Hotel, is located directly on the city beach of Pemba. It's one of the largest in town.
We are now sitting at this hotel. This is one example of the investment that we did expecting the boom from oil and gas projects. It's a 100-bedroom hotel, so it's quite a big hotel for the normal demand that exists in Cabo Delgado. Our expectation that the construction works at the oil and gas projects will start. I mean, they come here, they have a very nice hotel, a good Wi-Fi, nice desk to work in. Actually, the name of the hotel is Pemba Express Hotel. I mean, you don't see swimming pools here or spas or anything like that. So our target is business people and not tourism, not traditional leisure tourism. Bom dia. Tudo bem? Como vai? Tudo bem? Então, como é que estão as coisas hoje? Está boa a ocupação? Hã? Posso ver o... Deixe-me só ver o... Ok. Tá bom, vamos tentar, porque eu tenho aquela reserva grande que temos que encaixar aqui. Eu vou falar depois com a diretora para ver como é que nós podemos fazer. Ernesto, tudo bem? Tudo bem. Como é que vai isso? Tá tudo bom, obrigado. As coisas andarem bem? Sim, está tudo bem. Ainda não recebi o relatório. Já. There were a lot of expectations created by the discoveries. And some business people, local and even from outside Cabo Delgado, started doing a lot of investments, expecting that the boom will come and they will take advantage of that boom. Tudo bem por aqui? Ah? Posso entrar por aqui? Se calhar pelo outro lado, né? Garrincha, como é que estás? Graças a Deus. Ah? Tudo a correr bem? Ah? Muitas encomendas hoje ou nem por isso?
Pela semana tivemos um grupo da IOM, mais 40 pessoas.
Ok.
E recebemos mais 2 vezes o grupo da Gate.
Tudo bem. Tá certo. Obrigado, hein? Obrigado.
Asif Osman is proud to have created jobs for people from the province. All of his staff come from Cabo Delgado. The hotel is ready to house and feed the business people expected to come for the gas boom. Mozambique is not the only African country with gas reserves. Europe has long eyed Africa as a source of natural gas, and there are countries in West Africa, such as Senegal, that could help meet that demand.
Let's take Senegal as an example. We've just discovered our own source of gas. They haven't started selling the gas yet. It should be used to increase the country's income. That's why I was very pleased that Senegal will soon have its own energy sources.
Nächster Redner ist der Kollege Dr. Karamba Diaby, SPD-Fraktion.
Karamba Diaby, originally from Senegal, is a member of the German parliament for the center-left Social Democrats.
Sehr geehrter Herr Präsident, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren! Auf dem afrikanischen Kontinent wächst gerade die größte Jugendgeneration aller Zeiten heran.
In 2013, he was the first African-born black person to be elected to the German parliament, the Bundestag. He visits family in Senegal once a year.
In this town, people still cook with firewood or charcoal as they did before I was born 60 years ago. The locals who have a bit more money, like teachers, doctors, civil servants and so on, can afford a gas tank, which they have refilled at the store. That's an injustice, of course, when you see that there's electricity and lights in almost every other part of the world. In Europe, we hardly ever have a power outage. Here we have the privilege of having electricity. That makes quite a difference, and that's why Senegal faces a very big challenge in terms of energy policy. The income from energy sources that countries have at their disposal should lead to the creation of jobs. So this has a huge potential on the one hand, but on the other, it's a powder keg.
Today, Senegal is where Mozambique was in 2012 when it first discovered gas. Yet, there is no sign of hype here.
My colleagues and I believe this gas project is only causing us problems. All our problems come from the gas platform. Your representatives installed the platform without asking us. If they had asked us, we would have shown them a place that would not interfere with our fishing.
The platform is located in the north of Senegal, off the coast of the small town of Saint-Louis, the country's fishing capital. International trawlers have been plundering local fish stocks for years. The platform has made an already difficult situation worse.
A lot has changed. There used to be plenty of fish, but not anymore. The lack of fish is due to overfishing and construction of this platform. It was built on the reef where most of the fish are. Apart from fishing, we only know Allah and His Prophet. My son has just gone out fishing, but we don't know when he'll be back. It takes longer every time until the catch is big enough.
When I see this platform, I get angry. It hurts me that it's here. We used to catch so much here in an hour or two, and then we would go back in. The platform is not good for us. It's bad for Saint-Louis and Senegal. I don't want it here. I don't see any advantage in it.
BP, the operator of this field, one of the largest discovered in all of Africa, expects it to soon generate 2.3 million tons of LNG a year. This corresponds to the energy requirements of around 1 million German households per year.
I spoke to BP, and they told me what is going to happen during the entire gas production process. They also said they've entered into dialogue with the population. BP told me they've written an 8,000-page paper, a preliminary study meant to avoid repeating any mistakes that have happened elsewhere. I can only take their word for it. I haven't seen the study myself, but that's what we were told. We were also told that compensatory measures were taken to support the fishermen. That's what we were told.
When Senegal was a French colony, Saint-Louis was its capital. It's located on an island connected to the mainland by a bridge. UNESCO has declared the city a World Heritage Site. During the colonial era, Saint-Louis played an important cultural and economic role in West Africa. Back then, its port shipped slaves and gold. Today, it's liquefied natural gas. Fatou Jane is the matriarch of the fishing village. The 70-year-old looks after an extended family.
I learned that from my mother. She wanted us to be able to survive on our own and not be dependent on others. I learned to fight for myself. My mother also taught me how to process fish. Yes, the work is hard, but I don't find it stressful. I do it for my family, just like my mother took care of us. I thank God that we have never gone hungry and that I managed to feed my family every day.
21 people and some farm animals live in the backyard. Son Musa is the eldest of 8 children. He supports his mother as much as he can.
My mother is the president of our house. She takes care of everything the family needs. She passes on what she earns to her family and helps anyone in need. I would like to help her more. Without her, none of us would survive. We support her as much as we can. She takes the children to hospital. She leads all the ceremonies. She administers the finances. She solves problems in the village, and she is the president of the Fish Processors Association. She is very important to us.
We have always worked in groups. The co-op we have today existed before I was born. Our grandmothers organized the women. The aim was for every woman to have some money to support her family in times of need. Each of us pays in a small amount every month. We use the contributions where they're needed. We strive to adopt a joint strategy because we are stronger as a group. But unfortunately, we have a lot less fish now.
The catch is processed at the fish processing center. After being scaled and chopped, the fish is soaked in brine for several days. Its smell permeates everything, including hair and clothing. Here, the world seems to consist only of fish. The operation ensures the survival of dozens of large families. The fish powder made here is sold all over Senegal.
We know nothing other than processing fish. We have tried to find other work, but without success. We sold vegetables at the market, but that didn't work. If we don't get more fish, we'll soon be out of work. As president of the Women's Co-op, I represent the public's interest. I want everyone to be happy, and we do our best to make that happen. BP supports us. But its help is not enough for everyone who fishes near the platform.
Gas deposits are being discovered all over Africa. People's hopes of benefiting from them have not yet materialized. Is it just a matter of time? One thing's clear: Europe needs gas. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz opening an LNG terminal in Germany in January of 2023.
Meine Damen und Herren,
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get through this winter. Everyone at home is realizing that their supply of gas has not been affected. Contrary to what many had long feared, we can guarantee availability everywhere in Germany. Gas prices are falling on the world markets, here in Europe and in Germany too. This is the result of decisions we made very early on, even before the war Russia started against Ukraine. We thought about what would happen if Russia actually cut off the supply of gas to Germany and Europe, which is what actually happened.
Russian gas came to Germany via the Nord Stream pipeline, and it's through similar pipelines that the country gets its gas from Norway. So far, pipelines connecting Africa to Europe have been laid from Algeria and Libya. They end in southern Europe. Around Europe, they're increasingly being supplemented by floating LNG terminals. One of the first LNG terminals is the Höegh Esperanza, a ship near Wilhelmshaven in the North Sea. It started feeding gas into the German grid in December of 2022.
If this had been done on land, it would have taken much longer to set up these facilities for vaporizing the natural gas. Since we were under time pressure due to the Ukraine crisis and needed to secure a steady supply of gas here in Germany, we chose the solution of a floating ship. Another ship, a so-called carrier, comes regularly, about every 8 days, delivering liquefied natural gas. The LNG is then pumped into the Esperanza. It takes about 1.5 days until the tanks in the Esperanza are full. From there, it is vaporized over a period of 8 days and fed into the German natural gas grid. Each carrier ship holds around 160,000 cubic meters of liquefied natural gas. This amount would be enough to supply a medium-sized town of 30 to 50,000 inhabitants with natural gas for a year.
Gas is the second most important energy source for Germany. Around 20% of our energy supply is natural gas. Around 30% of the gas imported into Germany goes to industry. A lot also goes to small and medium-sized businesses. The other major consumption sector is heat generation. These are blocks of houses, and of course the 20 million or so buildings that are heated with natural gas in winter.
Zukunftgas is based in Berlin. The German association sees itself as the mouthpiece of the gas and hydrogen industry. It emphasizes the importance of gas in fighting climate change.
LNG allows us to use areas otherwise not connected to large consumption regions. We're convinced there are opportunities in Africa for diversifying our gas supplies. We'll need these supplies because global forecasts tell us demand for natural gas will continue to rise worldwide, precisely because of its environmental impact. Many countries are convinced they need natural gas in order to combine economic growth and CO2 reduction.
In northern Mozambique, people have not given up hope that gas will improve their lives. But most still live in poverty and feel forgotten by the government. Entrepreneurs are also disillusioned.
Unfortunately, after the research of oil and gas was finished, there was a very big gap in time between the end of the research stage and the actual beginning of the construction of the plant. So a lot of these investments that were made, some of them using financing from banks, I mean, they were just waiting for the boom to come, and it never came. I mean, it took too long to come.
It took Italian energy giant Eni 7 years after completing its first surveys to sign a contract with the Mozambican government. Its floating LNG platform wouldn't arrive off the coast of Mozambique for several more years. The time finally came at the end of 2022. Local LNG was ready to make its way to Europe for the first time. The liquefied gas could now be loaded onto a carrier ship equipped to take the cargo to Europe and Asia. But the years-long wait caused dissatisfaction in the population. Few people know this better than hotel owner Asif Osman. It's why he's a sought-after interview partner.
The city of Pemba has changed a lot because a lot of things happened at the same time. We had a lot of natural disasters like cyclones, we had the COVID, we had the non-declared debt scandal in Mozambique. So all of this led to a situation where interest rates skyrocketed. So many companies went bankrupt. I think the expectations that were created to the local business communities, I think they were not properly managed. There was over-expectations about this. I mean, everybody was expecting the works for the construction to start in 2015, 2016.
What happened instead was an Islamist insurgency, which attracted an army of dissatisfied young men in no time at all. The insurgents caused trouble, especially in the north of Pemba, the very area where French energy giant Total was building its LNG terminal.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Estamos a chamar sempre para vir aqui lutar sobre essa bandeira de Kalmatullahi. Não queremos bandeira de freirismo. Queremos bandeira de La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Também usar lei que está no Coran.
The rebels terrorized the entire region around Pemba. A development journalist Hizadin Acha reported on time and again. He says it's the most brutal time he's ever experienced.
Well, with these beheadings and the pictures that the terrorists post on social media, the local population is being terrorized. They want them to be afraid. The terrorists want the population and, above all, the government to take them seriously. They want to prevent the government from deploying soldiers.
His archive also contains footage of people driven out of their villages by the rebels. Over 1 million have fled with their belongings to the south of the country to escape the violence. Temporary camps have been set up for tens of thousands. Foreign journalists are not allowed to travel to northern Mozambique. Hizadin Acha is one of the very few still reporting on the violence.
Este assalto que culminou com a captura desta base, que é uma das várias que existiam aqui no distrito de Macomia. O governo não quer que isso o mundo saiba.
The government doesn't want the world to know that it has to defend itself.
Aquilo que são os investimentos que
It's about the huge gas sector investments that have been made in Cabo Delgado. Ever since the gas was discovered, Cabo Delgado has been the center of attention.
The violence first threatened to affect gas production in 2021. That year, Islamist rebels attacked installations of French energy giant Total. The fighting killed more than 1,000 people, shocking the gas industry. Total stopped its operations in the area. An investment worth $25 billion was at stake, one of the largest in all of Africa. A short time later, Rwandan special forces arrived in Mozambique. The government had asked for help because its army was overwhelmed. Within a short time, Rwandan soldiers pushed the rebels back into Mozambique's interior and destroyed their camps. Peace and order were restored, if only on the surface.
The basic problem hasn't been solved. The poverty is still the same, and people are perhaps even more radicalized because of the killings that have taken place on all sides. It's brutal. What you also see in hospitals and health centers is that people are traumatized. They now have additional baggage to carry. You can't just wave a wand and say, now there's peace.
Barbara Kruspan from Switzerland has lived in Pemba for 30 years. She has experienced the political ups and downs in the province firsthand. But it has never been as dangerous as it is now.
We said we'd stay and carry on, which means you must get organized, such that it can work and is safe for everyone.
She has been running the NGO Solidarmed, supporting the health sector, for several years. Since the rebels arrived, her team has implemented safety protocols to follow before every project visit to the interior of the country. Here, Barbara Kruspan is discussing a planned visit, making sure radios are all tuned to the same frequency.
You have to adjust your logistics. Nowadays, you can't just leave Pemba and drive out into the district like we used to. You have to drive in daylight.
The team never knows what might happen.
It was pretty much at the beginning of the conflict, right on this road. Suddenly I was behind a military truck full of young soldiers with guns. They pointed them at me. At one point they indicated that I should drive past. Then I looked in their direction and saw that they were laughing. So they were having fun scaring me. But you never know if it's fun or serious. And they had real weapons. They weren't toys. It was uncomfortable.
After 4 hours of traveling, we arrived in a resettlement village. Together with the government, Solidar Med runs a mobile health brigade here. Hospitals are few and far between.
The resources are still the same. It was already inadequate before, and even more so now with so many more people. It's absolutely inadequate health care because over 1 million internally displaced people have come to the south. When you're with a mobile brigade, you see these people, the direct victims of this conflict. I would leave the gas in the ground, or work out some sort of plan for the province, like the Marshall Plan we had after World War II. How do you fix this?
There doesn't seem to be a plan in Senegal either. But at least BP supports the local population with small projects. The Office for the Women's Co-op is one of them.
BP helped us with the construction of this building. They donated all the furniture. We can hold our meetings here and store our equipment. I hope they do more in the future, not just small projects like this. If they really want to hire our kids, they should do it now, so they can earn some money as mechanics or drivers. So that they can learn something new and keep up with the international labor market. But that's not the case, and that hurts.
Fishermen are earning less and less, and there's hardly any work in the gas industry. Most of the locals are frustrated. Saint Louis has become a hub for those wanting to leave by boat. The city offers everything that might require. There are boat builders and men who know their way around the sea. Every week, hundreds of young men leave Saint Louis on overcrowded boats. In 2023 alone, tens of thousands tried to reach the Canary Islands, which belong to Spain, by boat. 1 in 10 lost their lives. Moussa Jane, Fatou Jane's eldest son, has already tried to cross over to Spain 4 times. It's never worked.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to live here anymore. But nobody wants to be unable to provide for their family, which is why I kept trying to emigrate. I wanted to help my family. My first attempt was 6 years ago. I'm a good captain. I'm not afraid of the sea. Many people starved to death because we got lost. Our supplies ran out. We ran into storms and rain. I saw bodies in the water. It was terrible. We'll eventually all die anyway. My brother tried too. He wanted to support his family, but he drowned. It still brings me to tears. My children recently said to me, "Dear Father, please stay here. Don't risk your life for us. We would rather have a father who lives with us than become orphans." Since then, I don't know if I will try again.
Not everyone in Saint Louis condemns the gas operators or wants to get to Europe as quickly as possible. Some see a point in staying in Senegal. Mbaye Joff and his brothers are boat builders. It's a good business. Mbaye has also lost a brother.
Some boys, they want to leave. My younger brother also left and died. He was 2 years younger than me. He was 52, a primary school teacher. He left his wife and children and never came back. Let's say a man has 800 or 900 euros. That's enough for a boat trip to Europe. But if he stays here, he can build something with that money. There are opportunities in Senegal. We have oil, we have gas. We can cultivate our land. I started out with 300 euros. We used it to buy various materials and tools. All the small things we needed. You have to be patient in life. When you plant a seed in the ground, it doesn't sprout immediately. It needs rain and so on. You have to be patient. But everyone's in a hurry. Everyone wants to earn money now. That's not possible. Life is about patience. We are really happy with our work. We have a lot of customers. We have enough to eat. We work together and everyone gets something. That's why we work here.
Fatou Jane is not giving up either. She wants justice and doesn't want her country to be exploited by foreign companies again.
We should all share what God has given us. We can't understand why strangers come here and take away the places that are so important for our children to provide for their families.
In Mozambique, journalist Hizadine Acha worries about the safety of his family because the rebels have not disappeared. People are still dying.
Well, I think that one day, Total will restart its operations. with or without troops providing security. As we have seen, the priority is to ensure security in the area where the gas will be processed. As for the impact on the population and the province, I'm pretty sure there won't be any. I'm not saying nothing will change. There will be changes, but it won't be a change where you can say, this is a change caused by the gas.
Gas from Africa. Is it a blessing or a curse? Progress will only be made if foreign companies involve the local population right from the start.